Iron is a very important element in the body. Contributes to the function of the body. Some of its importance include particularly that of enriching the blood. It is the vehicle, it is a major component of the vehicle that carries oxygen in the blood, which is hemoglobin. And it's also found in muscles. It's part of what gives muscles capacity to store enough oxygen to be able to carry out its functions. Apart from that, iron also helps in improving immunity, in boosting the immunity of our body, and helps in body functions. It also strengthens the cell's capacity to take in nutrients and be able to use those nutrients. Take, for example, with iron, the body is able to take on sugar, that is glucose, from the bloodstream into the cells, which cells use in executing their functions. In all, a deficiency in iron can lead to very serious consequences. In children, it affects growth, it affects development. For pregnant women, it can lead to premature birth, can lead to for gestational age, as small babies, apart from the fact that it also affects the woman's life and actually can lead to death, because when there is no adequate iron, she could be anemic. By the way, 50% of anemia is when the blood's capacity to carry oxygen is low. 50% of those anemias is as a result of iron deficiency. And in pregnancy, where the woman's requirement for oxygen and blood need is increased, anemia becomes a life-threatening consequence, especially iron deficiency anemia, which explains why pregnant women are given iron tablets, especially during pregnancy. And they are supposed to take iron for at least 90 days during the course of our pregnancy. Apart from in women and in newborn babies, in children, and then in the general population, anemia, especially iron deficiency anemia, results in low productivity. There is weakness, there is sometimes gasping for air, the energy isn't there because the body's capacity to carry oxygen is reduced. So in summary, iron is very essential for normal body function and also protects the individual from illnesses. Considering the importance of iron in the body, one would have a lot of impact when there is a deficiency. Unfortunately, in a society like Nigeria, iron deficiency anemia is very high. Among pregnant women, it's as high as 58%. That means more than half of pregnant women have iron deficiency anemia. And in children under the age of 5, it's as high as 68%. And I'm talking about data that is the most recent data in Nigeria, the Demographic and Health Survey of 2018. What are the challenges with iron? It's the fact that people do not consume enough of iron-rich food, either because they are not readily available and because, again, other extraneous factors. So government takes steps such as making sure that women are given supplemental iron. But then, how many of those pregnant women really take as much as 90 tablets in the course of our pregnancy? Because that's the recommended supplemental iron. Only 31% of pregnant women in Nigeria take elemental iron, at least 90 tablets in the course of her pregnancy. That leaves us with 69% of women not taking adequate iron during pregnancy. Apart from this fact is the fact that even among children, the amount of children who consume adequate iron-rich food, children under the age of 5, is very low. In fact, you look at children under 2, let me go back to my statistics again and say, when we say under 5, we say it's about 68%. But in children before the age of 18 months, it's as high as 81%. That is more than 4 in every 5 children have one form of iron deficiency anemia or the other. And that is because most of these children do not consume adequate iron-rich food. For example, our data shows that less than 20% of children in Nigeria consume adequate iron-rich food. So the fact probably lies in what do the people know what are the sources of iron in their meals? Secondly, what are other factors that can prevent, even when you take in the iron, that can facilitate your body's use of the iron, or that can prevent your body from taking in the iron? It's either because the iron is not the appropriate one. For example, for sources of iron, there are two sources: animal source and plant source. Animal source of iron is easily absorbed, and the body can easily take in more than 80% of it. And the sources of iron, animal source iron, will be meat, seafood like fish, crabs, crayfish, and for meat you can talk about liver, beef, and all of that. But when you talk of plant source iron, the absorption rate is just about 20%. So you can imagine that may not be adequate to meet the body's daily requirement. And then there will be some other factors. In terms of the same plant food that you eat, there are some factors in the food, in some form of our food, that can prevent the body's capacity to absorb the iron. Again, in our society where there is a prevalence of helminths, that is worm infestation. Worm infestation is another factor that can reduce iron absorption in the body, and even leads to the body's losing iron through bleeding internally from the attachment of those parasites, which explains why in Nigeria we have at least 3 approaches to addressing iron deficiency anemia. Number 1 is deworming, giving children regular worm expellants in order to reduce that worm from competing with nutrients in the children. Number 2 is supplements. Number 3 is fortification, fortifying foods, both industrially and large-scale staple food, with iron to meet the daily iron needs of the population. I talked about the different approaches that we use, ensuring that there is diversity in the diet of our children and our women, and in fact the general population, ensuring that children are regularly dewormed, and fortification of food, large-scale food fortification and voluntary fortification of food. All of these involve different sectors and different stakeholders. You need to carry everybody along, especially the private sector, the manufacturing industries, who will produce processed food and need to fortify with iron. In Nigeria today, we fortify we fortify flour with iron. We're looking at fortifying salt again with iron, and that's large-scale fortification. Now, apart from that, a lot of our people consume packaged food, and this packaged food needs to be fortified with iron. That requires a private sector. Apart from this, the private sector has a cutting-edge expertise in behavior change communication, getting people to adopt new ways. And because they have those communication skills, they can be deployed to teaching our people the right kind of food to eat, where to get the right source of iron, and not just iron, but again, other nutrients. Government has a role to play, creating that enabling environment, providing the regulatory framework, as well as providing the leadership. That's government. It's not just health, because agri needs to produce the right kind of food, make sure that iron-rich food are available in the market. The commerce and industry sector also needs to be able to make sure that these food are at the market and made affordable. So it's a multi-sectoral approach, that's not one that can be handled by government alone, or neither can it be handled by one sector like health sector alone. it has to be all the sectors working together in synergy. I would like to close by saying that iron deficiency is a preventable condition. What is important is for people to eat right and also ensure when the woman is pregnant that she consumes the daily requirements of iron, and our children are regularly dewormed 6 monthly and then given iron-rich food. And it's only very important, especially at this time where we are fighting the pandemic. We all need the iron to also support and boost our immunity.